one of you guys at some point. Now I'm not, but don't be afraid. Deep down inside of me, I'm still a Roadrunner. I look a little bit different now. I'm a lot taller, not quite as good looking as you guys, but trust me, I think we still share a lot of the same educational DNA. So the slides that you're about to see, the messages that I give in these next few slides, I almost always give to high school students or to college students. It's actually pretty rare for me to be able to come out here and come to these elementary schools and actually talk to you guys. And tonight, I finally figured out why. So right before everybody gathered in front of me, about to listen to this message, I was actually in the back room over there where the computers are. And I walked inside and I saw a young man working on what I was assuming was his robotics project. He was programming all these things and making these blobs move and tell a story with how, there is a blob that came out of the ground, came out of a volcano, and all these things. And I was looking really closely at what he was doing, and then I realized something. The program that he was using to actually make this animation is called Scratch. And actually at UC Berkeley, one of the very first computer science classes you have to take is taught in this language. So we have elementary school students, you guys, learning the things that my peers who are 19 and 20 years old are learning as they're beginning their journey to learn more about technology and robotics. So what are you guys doing here? Come to Berkeley. You guys probably teach us something. But it was actually really quite amazing. So it seems like the reason I never have to give my speech to you guys is because you guys probably already know. But tonight, although I know that this is a very technologically focused activities that you guys have been engaged in, the messages that I have to share don't have too much to do with technology, but rather they have to do with something else. And unfortunately, the theme of my talk, there was a little bit of a spoiler at the beginning when I was introduced, because I am here to tell you guys a story, and it is a love story. I know, right? Oh, ew. But don't worry, I know exactly how you guys feel. But before we do that, before I tell this story, I would like to just introduce myself a little bit. Who am I? Why am I standing here? I'm very loud and I'm just talking to you guys, but you guys don't even know who I am, so I figured it's a good idea to tell you a little bit. Ah, somebody here knows who I am. That's good. But for those of you who don't, my name is Carl. I am 20 years old. I am a current college student. I have not yet graduated. I am a former Regnart student, as was mentioned. I am a very passionate teacher. So one of the things that I do a lot at Berkeley, I actually teach a class at Berkeley, and over the summer I also teach courses as well. Something that I really love to do is getting a chance to talk to young people and giving them inspiring messages or things that I wish I had known when I was younger. I'm also a very proud older brother. Two of my little younger clones are here somewhere in the audience. Oh, there they are, in blue.
They're from He's so crazy.
And they're too embarrassed, I think, to be put on the spotlight. And last but not least, the one thing that I really am is I'm in love. I'm in love. Yes, I said it. This is what people think of when I say that. This is what you guys are probably thinking of, like a big pink heart, right? And if you took this a little bit further down, this is probably what you guys are thinking of, right? Like, ew! Oh! Gross! Hooey! Right? This is probably what's going on. But, everybody, I just want to let you know, don't worry. This is not what I'm talking about. Don't worry, okay? Okay, we're not going to talk about this disgusting thing. No, we're going to talk about a different type of love. And the love that I really wanted to share with you guys is something that I actually found pretty late in my life. And if I could kind of redo things again, if I had a chance to wind back time and go to the very beginning, I would actually try to fall in love with this thing earlier. That's kind of what the message that I want to share with you, and I'll tell you a little bit about my journey. So no, it's not that type of love. But, even though it's not that type of love, in some ways, it very much still is. Because this is not a love story between a boy and a girl. This is a love story between me and learning. And hopefully this is a story that will also inspire some of you to love learning more, or to start loving learning if you haven't already. So let's actually start from the beginning. This is a story after all, and I feel most stories should start at the beginning. When I was a kid, so actually maybe not that long ago, but when I was in Regnart, a little bit after Regnart, I didn't really like learning. I did not enjoy learning. Probably because I wasn't very good at it. So all of you guys here are really smart, and I can tell because I saw you guys building these amazing robots and making movies and programming these things. I couldn't have done any of that when I was your age. I wasn't very smart. I wasn't very good at school. I wasn't very, I didn't really know what it was like to learn. So I just disliked it out. It's like, oh, those learners, those nerds. I'm not one of them. And to be honest, that probably contributed to why I wasn't very good. I was kind of lazy. My parents would tell you I still am, but I was lazy back then too, and I loved to get into trouble. So I don't know if actually Regnart does anything when you talk too much. But when I went to Miller Elementary, or when I went to Miller Middle School, students who talked too much were given a little pink slip by their teachers. Oh, this happens here too. Oh, I can't believe it. Okay, so you know what I'm about to tell you, right?
Yeah.
No, not a detention. Not that pink slip. But this pink slip said, hey, you have misbehaved in class. And right now, what I'm going to ask you to do is, when it's lunchtime, you are not allowed to just go out and have fun with your friends. You have to clean up the campus. This was called a trash slip. If you got one of these, it meant one day just gone. The funnest time during school, when we didn't have to go to class, lunch, was just gone. You had to go clean up the campus. And maybe every single week, I got one or two of them. So, I contributed to my community by cleaning a lot. But I didn't want to. I just got into a lot of trouble. Talked way too much. I also played a lot of video games, as some of you here might also be interested and be very proud of. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, I'm just telling you that's what I did. That's what I was like. And I had this belief when I was younger that learning is really, really hard and it's really boring. And that I thought learning was about going to school, something I didn't like doing, and doing your homework, something else I didn't like doing. So I thought, so learning is these two really bad things that makes it like twice as bad. Why should I do it? And I also thought that I just wasn't good enough. Maybe even if I didn't dislike learning, even if I liked it a little bit, I probably still wouldn't have been that good at it. I might have still not done very well. I might have still gotten a lot of trash slips. But unfortunately, because of these beliefs, I just didn't get very good grades as well. And it wasn't until I got older that I started to think a little bit more about, man, I believe all these things about school, about my education, about where I'm going in life. Are they true? Is it really true that going to school is the same thing as learning? And I started to think about these things, and I started to talk to people, I started to read a few books about this, and I realized, there's a lot of things that actually we believe when we're younger, or people tell us when we're younger, that seem really true. They seem like, oh, of course that's the case. That when you get older, you think a little bit about, that was silly. Why did I believe that? And there are some of those that I want to share tonight. And one of them for me was about learning. So, those are some of the thoughts and lessons and insights that I've had as I've gone through my solitary journey through life, and things that I want to kind of share back with you guys as you guys are beginning your own journeys. So tonight, I would like to begin with one of the most important lessons that I wish I learned. And it's about mindsets. And this is something that I do not think they teach you very well in school. I don't think society teaches you very well. I don't think television or movies or music teaches you very well. But I think this is something that is unequivocally backed by research and is very true. So scientists have discovered that this fact is true. But before I even tell you what that is, I want to actually run through a little experiment with you guys. Imagine this, everybody. One day, you're in school, you're at Regnart. You go into a class, and this is a class you really enjoy. You love this class. And you just took a really big test for this class. And the teacher, she slowly walks up to you. She looks at you and she sighs a little bit. She hands you your test back. You peek at it, because you know it's not going to be good if she sighed at you. And you see, oh my gosh, I did not do well. This is not a good grade. And you're really disappointed. And for the parents, imagine if you went into work and something that you've been working on was just scrapped, or something that you cared a lot about blew up in your face. And the rest of your day, that didn't go very well either. You got a parking ticket, or you got yelled at. Or you want to tell somebody about this. You want to say, oh man, I had a terrible day. And the person that you're talking to just brushes you off. Imagine this scenario. Now, I want you to hold this in your head. And I want you to think about 3 questions as you hold this in your head. Question number 1. What emotions would you feel? Specifically, what are the specific words that you would use to describe how you felt at the end of that day? Question number 2. What would you be thinking? What are some thoughts that would run through your mind as all this happened to you? And third and finally, at the end of the day, what would you do? So, actually, I want everybody in the audience to just briefly turn to somebody next to them and answer these 3 questions. What would you think? What would you think? What would you do? Okay. So, I got a chance to listen a little bit to some of the things that people were saying, and I heard a lot of the similar things. You know, this is something that actually, to be honest, this is how I would feel. But before I actually tell you what some college students' response to this question was, these are true responses, before we go there, I want to first address the question, wait a second, Carl. What are mindsets? Why are you telling us about this? Why is this important? Well, mindsets is the frame in which you think. So you know how sometimes you can be really happy about something? Something happens and you just get very excited. Maybe some of you guys really like being able to play outside. And it's a sunny day and you wake up. And you see the sun. And you know it's not going to rain. And you're excited about that thing. The mindset that you might say you're putting yourself in is very positive. It's one that's encouraging you to go outside. And the reason I'm talking about this is because, as you might be able to guess, the way that you think has to do with a lot of the actions that you end up taking in your life. So if you tend to think in a certain way, you tend to act in accordance with those beliefs. And this is true not just for students, not just for young people, but for adults, and basically for every single human being. I think we can absolutely agree that the way that you think determines how you act. So, there was a very, very famous researcher named Carol Dweck. She's a professor, she's a teacher, and she teaches psychology, which is the study of human behavior and human thought. And she conducted a very, very famous experiment a few years ago, about 10 years ago. And what she did was this. So, actually, can half of this column, or this split right here, move a little bit over to that side, and the other half move a little bit to this side. Just so that there's a pretty clear split down the middle. That's okay. All right, thank you very much. What she did was she brought a bunch of young student volunteers, about as old as you guys, into her lab, her psychology lab, and she conducted an experiment. To both halves of the groups that she brought in, to both groups, she gave them a puzzle. A pretty simple puzzle. This was something that every single student here could solve. It was something that was pretty simple, was pretty easy. It's not challenging at all. And every single student, every single group was able to solve this. Like I said, it was an easy puzzle. But to one group, she told her researchers to tell the students this. Oh my gosh, you solved the puzzle. You guys are so smart. And to the other half, she said this. Oh my gosh, you guys solved the puzzle. You guys worked so hard on this. That was it. And then she gave these two groups of students the exact same puzzle again, except this time it was harder. And in fact, this one was so hard that she expected most of the students to not be able to solve it. This was a very challenging puzzle. And you know what she found? There was a gigantic difference of how many students tried to solve the puzzle, how long they worked on it, and if they actually succeeded, based upon which group they were in. To the group that she had said, you guys are so smart. You guys solved the puzzle. Students from that group, on average, tended to spend only a fifth as long attempting this puzzle. And very few students in that group succeeded. To the group of students, to whom she said, you guys worked so hard on the first puzzle. This group spent a lot longer, and some of them actually succeeded in solving it. And to her, this was remarkable. A simple sentence, a simple gesture, a simple set of statements that she made changed the behavior of a whole group of young individuals in a dramatic way. What does this mean? Why does this matter? Well, it turns out that after replicating the study over and over again, in different settings, in different cultures, in different parts of the world, under different conditions, she discovered that people, especially young people, tend to think in one of two different ways. And she called them the fixed mindset and the growth mindset. Let me briefly explain what each of those mindsets say. The fixed mindset says this. I am not good at something. I can't do something. I am who I am, and there are some things that I can do and some things that I can't. The world to these people who think in these particular ways is fixed. It doesn't change. You don't change. I mean, sure, you grow up, you look different, you start dressing differently, you do different things, your habits may change. But the way that you think, the way that you approach life doesn't. And to the students that she found tended to be very receptive towards the comments about hard work, she found a different type of thinking, called the growth mindset. That type of mindset thought about, I can't do something yet. I'm not very good, but that's because I haven't tried very hard. I just failed this really important activity, this really important subject. I guess that means I gotta work harder. Two completely different ways of thinking, but two very, very powerful instruments for shaping how each of us live our lives. What she ended up discovering through her study, and you can look this up, Carol Dweck, she wrote a book about this called Mindsets, is that fundamentally you can't grow, you can't learn, you can't do amazing, incredible things if you're not willing to fail. If you're not willing to say, hey, this puzzle is really, really hard. But instead of giving up on it, instead of just saying, I'm not going to do it, I'm going to try. And there's a pretty good chance I'm not going to be able to solve it. There's a pretty good chance that I'm just not smart enough or I'm not good enough to crack it. But if I work really long and hard on this, maybe I won't crack it. But maybe I'll learn something. And you know what? If we return to the example that I gave you guys at the very beginning of these few slides, and if you guys remember your answers to the questions I had asked, the 3 questions, the college students with whom Carol Dweck studied this phenomenon with, they responded like this. To how they would feel and how they would react, they said these things. They said, I would feel like I'm an idiot. I feel like I'm worthless and dumb and everybody's better than me. Life stinks. I got super unlucky. Why did it happen to be this way? Life is unfair. Why did my friend have to yell at me? How many of you guys here would feel something here? I know I'm going to raise my hand and just say, honestly, there's a lot that I think I would have felt. And you know what the truth is? Most of the students that she studied felt this way. And then answering the next question, what would you do once all this has happened to you? These were some of the most common answers that college students gave. College students, okay? So these are the students that are supposed to be smarter or better than elementary school students. And you know what? I don't think you guys would do these things. No. But you know what they said they do? They said they cry and break something. They pick a fight with someone. What? Well, one person said they would just eat a lot. So, maybe I would do that too. So, yeah. They'd stay in bed. They would cry. They would yell. They would pout. Basically, all that really happens here. If you look between the lines, if you read these words and you see what they actually mean, her conclusion was this. They're not doing really anything. Yes, I will cry, I will eat, I will pick fights with people, I will break things, but I'm not solving any problems. I failed my test, I failed my project, I didn't look very good, I didn't feel very good. What am I going to do? I'm going to put a Band-Aid on it. I'm going to just get over it a little bit. I'm going to eat a lot of ice cream and feel good about myself. But that doesn't fix the real problem. The real problem is you clearly didn't prepare very well for something. The real problem is you made a mistake somewhere. The real problem is your friend's mad at you. And that's why he yelled at you. But what are you doing? Well, maybe what am I doing, since, to be honest, some of these things I can definitely see myself doing. You're not doing anything that fixes those problems. You're putting a Band-Aid when what you really need is a doctor to look at it and give you medicine for you to heal and to learn. Now, those were the students who she identified, who Professor Carol Dweck had identified as those who thought with kind of a fixed mindset. The students who thought about the world in terms of who they are and who they cannot be. Contrast that with the people who did not think like that. But the responses that she received from college students that said something different. And I want you guys to notice these specific phrases in their answers. So going back, maybe if you had a little bit of time to just read what this says, people are saying, I want to try harder, I want to work harder, I want to change things, I want to do something different. They're taking proactive action to not put a Band-Aid on top, but to try really to get a cure. To figure out what caused this wound, what caused this injury. How can I prevent it so it doesn't happen again? And that is a completely different reaction, a completely different way of thinking than most students would tend to do. So, to briefly recap this entire story so far, psychologist conducts famous study, points out that people think in 2 different ways. Some people tend to think in fixed terms. Some people tend to think in growth terms. Some people tend to think, oh, I just can't do some things. Some people think, I just can't do some things yet. With all this information, what does this allow you guys to learn? Why am I telling you this? What does this have to do with you guys, right? Well, recognizing, first of all, how you think is the first step towards changing the parts of your thinking that you don't think are really good parts. And specifically, how often do we see this in our lives? I'm going to tell you some of the most common myths that I heard and I used to believe when I was younger. Those include, I'm not a math person. I'm not a science person. I'm not a creative person. I'm not a robotics person. I can't do those things. I was born this way, and some people are born differently, and they're who they are. They're the nerds. They're the math people. They're the science people. I'm the creative type. Or I'm the science person. I'm the math person. I'm not the creative type. I can't draw. I can't paint. That's not me. Do you guys know? And I really hope if you haven't, this is something that you will really come to see. That's not true. That's absolutely not true. It's 100% false that you are something and you can't do something else. How do I know this? How can I tell you this? How can I say this with such confidence and just be like, oh yeah, it's so true, you know. How do you know that I'm not lying? Well, because honestly, I live this. When I was younger, I was really shy. I wasn't very good at talking to people. I wasn't very good at telling people how I felt or communicating with others. And whenever we had to give a class presentation in school, I thought to myself, darn it, this stinks. I don't want to give a class presentation. And I would see my friends who were really excited about it, and I would think to myself, oh, they're just excited because they're confident people. They're just really, you know, they're people who know how to make themselves look good in front of a lot of people. They're not nervous. They don't have stage fright. But you know what? That's not true. When I went to high school, I ended up joining a debate team. And for those of you guys that don't know, debate is an activity in which basically two sides have a topic and they argue with each other and they try to find out what the truth about that topic is. So in this activity, you have to talk a lot. You have to learn how to speak and communicate. And I joined this. And when I joined in my freshman year, I was really bad. The very first year in college, I just stunk. But I kept with it. And actually, 4 years later, when I was a senior in high school, I was actually the captain of my debate team because I worked really hard to get better. And my partner and I started to compete nationally. We started to do pretty well at a lot of tournaments. In fact, we ended up winning a couple. And if you had gone back in time and told this to my, younger self, I would never believe you. I said, oh, I can't do debate. In fact, the person who pushed me to debate was my parents. I didn't want to do debate. I was really shy about this. But Mom said, you got to do this. You just have to try it a little bit. I said, Mom, I don't want to. But I'm so glad that I did. And I also said at the beginning of this talk that I go to college. And when you go to college, you have to pick something to study. In college, it's called a major. You have to pick a major, something that you will be focusing on when you are in school, in college. When I was in high school, one thing that I would tell you I would never major in, because I wasn't very good at it, I wasn't very interested in it, I wasn't very passionate about it, was math. I didn't like math. I didn't do that well in my math classes. I didn't really get math. I thought to myself, I'm not a math person. There's some math people, but that's not me. Actually, in college, I studied math. That's my major. That's my field of concentration. So, why in the world, what happened? Why did I choose to study something I knew I wasn't good at? Something that I knew I didn't like? Well, ultimately, it came down to the fact that I just learned the very first lesson I told you guys, the lesson that I found really valuable and very true when I ended up reading Carol Dweck's book about how people think, how to reframe the way that you think. I thought I wasn't good at math and that I can never be good at math. Now I'm studying math because I know I'm not that good at math yet, and I want to be better. So to each of you guys are still very far down the road from college. You guys haven't even come close there. And, you guys are far down the road from even high school, and probably even, well, maybe not so much middle school, but definitely from high school. And at points in your life, people are going to either tell you this or say something else, but deep down inside they're trying to tell you this. And they're going to say these words. Maybe not in the exact way I'm going to say them, but definitely at some level. They're going to tell you something. They're going to say something along the lines of, you know, maybe you should think of something else to study. Maybe you should take another class. Because I think your strength lies somewhere else. I think you're this type of person. I think that you should be an artist. I think that you should be a scientist. And all those things sound really positive and really good. And what they're trying to point out is you have certain strength in some areas, and you have weaknesses in others, and there are some things you're good at and some things you're not so good at. And that may or may not be true. But the point is, when you hear somebody telling you those words, remember that it doesn't matter if you are somebody who is an amazing scientist or not yet. That doesn't mean you can't be an amazing something else too. That doesn't mean you should just focus on one thing and ignore all else because you say to yourself, I just can't be good at those things. Don't believe, like I did, that the world is just this way, and people are this way. And you're just shy, you're just quiet, you're just a troublemaker, you're just a math person, you're just not creative enough. Because when you believe that is when it becomes true. And if there's one core message in here, it's that you have the choice of who you want to become. Not your circumstances, not your environment, not your parents, not even your teachers. They all influence you, but ultimately the choice is up to you. And it's made by you. So please, think deeply about the choices that you're making. And I know that's maybe a little bit high of expectations, but you guys are already programming crazy things. I think you guys can totally handle this. Because there's no better age to start than now. So, the big takeaway from lesson 1 is think of yourself as capable of growing, not as a fixed person. Lesson number 2 is something I learned the hard way. Do difficult things. I was really bad at this when I was younger. And I'm going to show you guys a short video, entertaining video. This is going to be a video about marshmallows. So if you guys like marshmallows, please pay attention. Okay? Yes, please.
Alright, here's the deal. Marshmallow, for you. You can either wait, and I'll give you another one if you wait, or you can eat it now. When I come back, I'll give you another one, so then you'll have two. But stay in here and stay in the chair till I come back, okay? Alright. I'm gonna go do something and then I'll come back.
It smells yummy. It smells really good.
You can have it now or you can wait. Okay? I'll be back. Stay in the chair, okay? Okay.
Yes, that's all. But now the question is, why did I show you that? Why in the world did I just show you a video of all these kids looking at marshmallows and pretending not to eat them, but secretly really wanting to eat them?
It's there, on the floor, on top.
Because actually, what you just saw, this video, was a remake of a study done in 1960 here in America. Exact same thing. Students are brought in. They're told, here is a marshmallow on your plate. Now, I'm going to give you a choice. You can either eat the marshmallow right now, or don't eat the marshmallow. Wait 30 minutes. And if I come back after 30 minutes and the marshmallow is still here, I will give you another one. I'll give you two marshmallows. All you have to do is wait. And of course, some of the students, like you saw, just couldn't wait. Right after the researcher left, they stuffed it in their mouth. It was delicious, it was good. But some people, some of the students, were able to wait. They might have licked the marshmallow a little bit, might have just patted it and sniffed it a lot, but they didn't eat it. So when the researcher came back, they gave him another marshmallow. That was okay. Why would researchers do this? What's the point of this? Is this a test whether students love marshmallows or not? Why in the world, what were they looking for? Does anybody think they know? Yeah. Yes. Why do you think they did this?